Welcome, welcome. So excited to dive into a conversation with my friend, my partner, and business colleague, James Gardiner. We're going to be talking about sexy, energetic strategy. And before we got onto this live call, we were talking about kind of the rhythm and how that rhythm helps us unfold and set ourselves up for success throughout our year. And talking about it from a collective experience, but also a personal experience. So today I kind of want to dive into what that rhythm looks like, because I think there's a lot of perhaps confusion or fogginess around what it is that I'm actually talking about.
Never.
Numerology has so many different rabbit holes that it's easy to get tripped up and it's easy to be confused. So I'm going to kind of set the story straight and make sure that we all understand what we're talking about with the rhythm. There's lots of different rhythms, and if you choose to join us in DNA, I'm going to show you a couple of those different rhythms. But the one I want to talk about today is the planetary influences that we have as we go throughout our year. So collectively, we come upon January 1st, it's a new year, and we all get caught up in the hype around setting New Year's resolutions. We think that this is now the time to set up what we want to achieve this year. What do we want to do this year? What am I willing to commit to this year? And that's great if your birthday is in January. But if your birthday's in June or September or any other month of the year, you're actually interrupting your own rhythm, which can be very difficult. And I know for me, when I come into the collective new year, I'm not at my new year, which is on my birthday. And so it feels confusing because everybody around me is doing all of these things and setting New Year's resolutions. And I'm like, it doesn't compute. I can't do it. So when you land on your birthday, which is your new year, you land into Mercury energy. And Mercury energy is really about thinking about what you want to achieve for this year. What is it that I'm willing to do? What do I want to commit to? Really considering what those commitments are going to take, because as you know, anybody who's watching me probably has big goals, big dreams. And so in order to achieve those, there's going to be things that you have to clear, that you need to let go of. Are you actually willing to do that? And really leaning into that. And it's not a thing where you have to commit and decide what you're going to do like on your birthday. You have a 54-ish day window to think about this. And I always joke around during Mercury energy, there are Post-it notes all over my house because I have so many ideas, and the whiteboards come out and it's planning stage, right? Then from there, you land into Venus energy. And Venus is all about calling in the resources you need in order to achieve the thing that you said you were going to do in your Mercury energy. So now you've got this other 54-ish day window. And when we dive into your rhythm, we'll give you exact dates as to what those are. But it's almost 100-day window from your birthday where you're not actually taking action. You're thinking, you're brainstorming, you're dreaming, you're taking lots of notes, you're writing down ideas, you're meeting people, you're calling in resources, but you're not necessarily moving the needle forward yet. So Venus energy is really about calling in those resources and noticing the resources that are in your life that are a distraction to the thing that you want, because those will show up and trigger the hell out of you. Relationships, what it is that you're not receiving, I don't have enough money, things like that will show up to trigger you in your relationships. Then you move into Mars energy. Now, Mars is when the rubber hits the road. Now it's time to take action and go. Mars energy can be very intense. It can be very busy. It feels like momentum. So it can feel like there's a lot of things coming at you all at the same time. And it's your job during Mars to take action and to stand as an authority in whatever field you're in, to know that what you're doing is exactly what you've intended to do. And you just put your blinders on, head down, and you go get shit done. It is a very masculine energy. So this is where some of that hustle will come in. So being aware of that and maintaining balance. Then comes Jupiter. Jupiter energy is more of the feminine energy. It's the receiving. So you've been taking action and doing the things, and now you can kind of take the foot off the gas pedal a little bit and start receiving from all of the work that you did in Mars. You're still taking action though. And Jupiter is full of blessings. Jupiter just wants to give and give and give. And so it's a great opportunity to meet people, to be networking, to be reaching out, to building connections and more relationships, and still taking action, of course. And then comes Saturn. Now, Saturn can be easy, or it can be a frying pan to the head, depending on how you navigated Mars. I have experiences with both. Ever since I've learned this information, I've gone through 2 Saturn seasons. The first one was a frying pan to the head, and the second one was bliss. And the only difference was I paid attention in Mars. If you take action on your commitment in Mars, Saturn will be easy. If you do not, Saturn will come and smoke you in the face. My first Saturn season, it was like a joke in my house. Oh, it's Monday, Cindy's crying. Because I was just going through a massive realignment. And that's really what Saturn is. It's an accountability to the thing you chose to be in alignment with. So if you didn't take action on that, then Saturn comes along and says, second chance. And this time I'm going to make sure you do it. So it can be easy, though, if you did take action in Mars and you moved the needle forward and you were in alignment with that. Saturn comes along and says, cool, keep going. And you can still take action in Saturn. It's a bit of masculine energy as well. So you can get busy during Saturn. So making sure that you're maintaining that balance, again, is important. Then we come into Uranus and Neptune. Now, Uranus and Neptune are both very foggy times where we're being asked to lean into the unknown, to believe in things that we can't physically see. And oftentimes what happens is when we get cloudy in our thoughts or we get confused, we feel like, oh my God, I was doing so well. What just happened? And clarity comes from the confusion. That's the whole point. And when we are inviting our mind into our heart and taking action from there and trusting that the universe has our back, it gets a little bit easier. But Uranus and Neptune can be very foggy, very unknown. So strategy-wise, it can be difficult to land into what it is that you're actually doing. So Uranus is also a time for reflection of the year past, of the lessons you learned, the actions you took in Mars, how did Saturn feel, understanding that, and really just giving yourself that 54-day period to think about what you've done this year. And then Neptune is more of the forward thinking. So it's the dreaming. How big are you willing to dream for yourself? And how are you willing to believe that that could be true for you? And starting to plan into what's coming next year. So Neptune energy is a great time to get a reading so that you know what your year ahead looks like. So that's kind of the rhythm. James, I'm going to open it up to you there if you have questions or if you want to dive into that in any way.
Well, I definitely want to dive in from the DNA perspective of what we're going to be putting together starting next week. And that is your divine numerological rhythm, right? And it's your rhythm based on your birth, based on the year. And it's really interesting because even just hearing that, my brain goes into strategy mode. And, like Mars, for example, is, if you don't show up in Mars and get your shit done, then Saturn's going to smoke you upside the melon with a frying pan, right? So, and understanding, as a client, if I was working with you, understanding what month is, or what 54-day window rather is your Mars time period, we would have action items and objectives in there with an understanding that this may be the roll up your sleeve month and get shit done month.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Where I think you had said Jupiter then is more of a reflective or.
Jupiter is more what I call leisurely. You're still taking action, but it's more from that feminine flow of just like, this feels good, I'm going to go that way. Instead of where Mars is very aggressive, like, get shit done.
Exactly. So in terms of a strategic lens, and I'll bring this back to high performance sport background that I have, this would be like coming off of an intense training block followed by an active recovery block where you're still working. Right. But you're just diminishing your intensity and your volume.
Yes. That's a perfect analogy. I love that.
Yeah. So knowing that, and then for our clients, that's going to be different for client A than it is for client B, and so forth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just really jazzes me up, because even as we were talking, Cindy, right before this, and we were looking at today's February 1st, it's a calendar date.
Mm-hmm.
We're both in different planetary energy right now.
Yeah.
So for me, right, I'm in Uranus.
Yep.
You're in Neptune.
Yep.
Right. So for the, to the end of that cycle, whatever it is, for me, would be focusing, I would implement and plan certain things that have kind of within that energetic sphere. And those would be different possibly than the Neptune energy that you would be walking in over the next course of X number of weeks and so forth, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So for you being in Uranus right now, no matter what it is that you're working on in your business and in your life, you want to maintain those disciplines that you've got in place, but adding in pieces where you're reflecting on the year past. What have I learned about myself this year? What is it that I did achieve? What am I proud of? What am I willing to brag about? What am I excited about? What are some of the lessons that I've learned along the way, right? For me, being in Neptune, I'm past that period. So now stop looking back, start looking forward. And so for me, I'm already pulling up next year's chart and geeking out on it and looking at what I can lean into, but not from a perspective of I'm planning what I'm doing next year. That doesn't happen until Mercury. So this is a time for me to daydream, like actually daydreaming. And a lot of people are like, really, you're just going to spend time outside and just go into nature and daydream? Yes, because that's the only way that we can create it. And so I'm spending more time outdoors. I mean, not right now because it's bloody cold out, but I try to spend more time outdoors during Neptune and really just connect in. I'll spend time in my red chair and just stare at the wall. And people think that's work. I'm like, yep, it sure is.
Yeah.
So it just depends where you're at in your rhythm. And I think that's a really important piece to understand, because especially Neptune and Uranus, because it's such an unknown energy. I often get clients coming to me during this period in their year. They're like, I was like moving forward and everything was so good. And now it feels like, I don't know what I'm doing. That's because you're in Uranus and Neptune.
Right. And maybe you could share, because this is also really interesting for context, is you, for example, January collective versus you, like your personal energetic, right? And maybe share that too.
Yeah. So January collectively, we all land on January 1st thinking it's a new year, right? And collectively it is. And so we've created this tradition where we all set New Year's resolutions. That's lovely if you were born in January. But if you're not, you're interrupting your own rhythm by doing what everybody else says you should be doing. So again, looking to the external world for the answers. And we think, oh, well, I need to have a word for 2020 or 2021, and I need to have all these pieces in place, and these are my goals for the year. And then you're in Saturn. So you've completely gone off of your original alignment, because alignment is something you choose. Doesn't just happen magically. So now you've interrupted your alignment, and now everything's confused and nothing is working. And then you get to your birthday and you're like, what am I doing with myself? I know for me personally, that's when I first learned this, it was a real game changer for me, because I've always had a hard time with New Year's resolutions and I didn't know why. Now I know why, because it's not my time. And so as everybody else is going crazy with New Year's resolutions, I'm like, I'm going to wait till March, because that's my time. And I just allow myself to lean into the unknown and what I always say, swan dive into life, and just see what happens and stay true to my original intentions. And I think that's the key, is that intention is meant to be carried for some time. And it's meant to be carried through the waves of possibility and through the planetary experiences that we go through. And if we're forcing something to happen outside of that rhythm, it gets hard. So I always notice if something feels hard, check in with your rhythm.
That's it. And those two words are really what this program is about. It's about going and stepping away from hard and making things flow with ease and grace. And it's about rhythm. It's about energetic, sexy strategy, bringing sexy back, right? um, and so Cindy, let's share with them. Why don't we just go through a little bit about this program? And
Yeah.
we'll just put in and share with them what the amazing things that they're getting in this program, because they are pretty flippin' awesome.
Right. I'm really stoked about this, and I'm really stoked about the price point, because this is unheard of what we're doing here. But we're offering 6 weeks of private one-on-one coaching. This is not a group program, which I love. And in that, upon sign up, you'll get a channeled reading from me based on the foundation of your personality, who you are, and how you best show up in the world, with some healthy habits for you to focus on, as well as some other information of your influences that are in your chart. Some of my magic. And then they're going to get a one-on-one call with you, James. So I'll let you take over there and share what that's about.
Sure. So then we're gonna go into a 90-minute strategy session with me, and this is to dive in a little bit further into the blueprint that you're getting from Cindy and the channel read, as well as just look like what are the pieces on your chessboard, whether it's personal growth, business growth, understanding, looking for some limiting beliefs, looking for some roadblocks, starting to get clear on what your objectives are, what are your macro and micro goals, so that we can begin to assemble this, because then you're going to see as we continue in this discussion, we're going to start to put pieces in play based on what Cindy's going to bring next.
Yes, which is your rhythm. So we're going to dive into a calendar. I'm going to teach you how to map out the numbers yourself. So I'm going to teach you a little bit of numerology so that you can do this ongoing. I don't want to give this to you for 6 weeks and then you don't know how to set yourself up for success moving forward. I'm also going to dive into your birth card, which is the system that I use is actually a deck of playing cards. And so there's some information that you'll need to know about your personality based on that card. And then I'm going to share with you your rhythm, like I just talked about, and give you exact dates so that you know which season you're in, what to focus on. I'm going to provide you with journaling prompts and information particular to the season you're in. If you're in 2 seasons during that 6-week period, you'll get both. I'll make sure that you have access to all of that. That I think is just going to be so cool to set you up with your rhythm, because it really is a game changer. And then they get more from James.
And then
there's more.
I know, behind door number 3, a new car. Sorry, no,
no, there's no new car.
No new car. Disclaimer. Then we're going to jump into a 90-minute strategy session where we're gonna map out the next 30 days.
Yeah.
So we're going to take the next 30 days. We're going to put in there the number that Cindy will explain, the number assigned to each day, the energy of each day. Then we're going to look back at your goals and your objectives, and we're going to start to kind of put in some action steps, moving you towards a rhythmic flow and ease towards achieving whatever it is that you want to achieve in the 30 days. And of course, with an eye down the road on the macro as well. And then we're not done. We got one more, gang.
Oh, wait, there's still more.
There's still more. And then, and then we finish it off with the dynamic duo.
The dream team.
Yes. So you're going to get a 90-minute coaching session with both of us.
Yeah.
So we're going to come at it from both lenses, building that energetic bridge, making sure that you are set up, ready for success as you move forward out of the 6-week period.
Absolutely. Yeah. So excited about this. I can't wait to dive in.
I know. And speaking of diving in, it's all starting next week.
It is. It is. I'll make sure that the link is in the comments so that anybody who's interested can check out more of that. Again, like I said at the beginning, the price point on this is a no-brainer. It's $397 US. You can't find one-on-one coaching with 2 coaches for that price anywhere. So I'm really excited about the accessibility of this as well.
Yeah, for sure. And we're going to have, it's amazing. We have people in Australia signing up and all over. It's just exciting. It's a lot of energy, and of course, it's all about energy, and we're excited. We're jacked up. Right?
Jacked up. You betcha.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, James. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. I appreciate your brain, because the strategy is off the hook. So thank you.
Thank you. Mad love to you always. Always.